substance dualism. And the core idea is pretty straightforward. The mind is a non-physical thing, and the body is a physical thing. They're two totally different kinds of stuff that somehow work together. But it's that word, somehow, that creates a massive problem when we start looking at the hard science.
And this brings us right to the main event, the central challenge for dualism. It's what everyone calls the interaction problem. If the mind and body are totally separate, how exactly does a non-physical thought cause a very physical action?
For dualism to be true, the sequence of events has to go something like this. First, your non-physical mind makes a decision. Maybe I want to raise my hand. Then, that non-physical mind has to somehow reach out and cause something to happen in your physical brain, which then causes your physical body to actually move. So the whole thing hinges on this one crucial step. A non-physical thing has to cause a physical effect.
And it's right there, at that exact point of interaction, that we slam headfirst into one of the most fundamental, absolutely unbreakable laws of the entire universe.
And that is the law of conservation of energy. It basically says you can't create energy out of nothing, and you can't destroy it. You can only change its form. The total amount of energy in a closed system always, and I mean always, stays the same. So, what's a closed system? Simple. It's any system that doesn't swap energy with anything outside of it. And for our purposes, the biggest, most perfect closed system we know of is the entire universe. There's nothing outside the universe for it to borrow energy from.
The implication of this is just profound. For anything to move, it needs energy. And that energy has to be transferred from some other physical source that's already inside the system. New energy can't just pop into existence from nowhere.
And boom, here's the conflict, laid bare. On one side, physics tells us in no uncertain terms that the total energy in the universe is fixed. But on the other side, dualism claims that a non-physical mind, something from outside the physical system, can just inject new energy into the brain to make things happen. These two ideas are totally at odds. They simply cannot both be true.
But the problem for dualism doesn't just come from these grand laws of the cosmos. It gets even more difficult when we zoom right in on the organ that's supposedly being controlled, the brain itself.
You see, a foundational principle of all neuroscience is that the brain is a physical system. When something happens in the brain, like a neuron firing, it's because another physical thing caused it to happen, like a chemical signal from another neuron. It's a closed loop of physical cause and effect. There are no gaps in the chain.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Go back to that simple decision to move your hand. What even is that thought, according to a neuroscientist?
From a scientific perspective, the thought isn't some separate, ghostly event that happens before the brain activity. Now, the thought is the brain activity. It is a specific, measurable, physical pattern of electricity and chemicals firing in your head.
And that initial pattern of firing neurons, it sets off a complete, unbroken chain reaction of physical events. It causes other neurons to fire, which sends signals zipping down your spinal cord, which then activate the muscles in your arm and hand. From start to finish, it's all physical processes causing other physical processes.
So, this brings us to the killer question from neuroscience. If we can trace the cause of your hand moving all the way back through an unbroken physical chain, from muscle to nerve to neuron to the neuron before it, where is there any room for a non-physical mind to step in and give a command? Science can't seem to find a crack for the ghost to do any work.
So when we put all this evidence together, from both the laws of physics and the facts of neuroscience, we're left with a pretty tough choice. That intuitive idea of a separate mind controlling the body, well, it runs into some really serious scientific roadblocks. We're essentially left with two options. Possibility one, the law of conservation of energy and our entire modern understanding of the brain are just completely, fundamentally wrong. Or possibility two, the idea that a non-physical mind directs the physical body is false. Faced with that choice, the scientific consensus leans very, very strongly toward the second option.